How come it looks foggy or like hazy? Maybe I need to wipe off the.
Could be your lens.
No, it could be that light is blasting.
Oh, that.
Sorry, guys.
Let me change the quality of this thing.
I don't know if that helps.
Yeah.
Did it?
Looks a little better.
Maybe
I can
the fingerprint.
bring that thing down.
Yeah, I'm just hella white.
Well, you know who else was white? Jesus.
Oh yeah, isn't that what they're debating now?
Yeah, actually, I was
It's
just
all
looking at
about
a documentary. It shows that like every description of him is he was red in the face. He would get flush and blush.
But people say that talking about flat Earth is dumb.
Yeah, because they're idiots. The Earth is flat.
But they're saying, oh, like even if the Earth was flat, like how would it make any difference?
It would prove that God was real.
Like no,
and you'd
but I'm
look up.
saying I'm using this as an example of like what if Jesus, whatever color he was, like what difference would that make in your life? Would it just make you feel better about yourself?
Yeah.
Like if you were black, say, and you're like, well, Jesus was black, therefore I am a better person because I represent Jesus. Is that what it means?
It represents.
'Cause I couldn't care.
It's
I
a
don't care.
scorekeep for them.
I mean, naturally, when you think about like back in the day like that, whenever Egypt or Israel or Bethlehem, right? You think of no technology. You think of the desert. And any movie you've ever watched, it's like outside. So naturally, what are you doing?
Playing with these lights.
So naturally, you're gonna think that they're gonna have tan skin, right? It's not gonna be as white as me, as white as snow.
Actually, it was. Yeah, it was. They were pale-faced, fair-skinned people. They were Europeans. It makes total sense. If you look at every narrative, the World War II narrative, the blacks being victims and they're not. That they were the Egyptians and they invented everything. They didn't. Whites.
Wait, what's that about? They invented everything?
Well, yeah, the whole. Right now, they're claiming Beethoven. And they claim the Egyptians and they were the greatest empire and yada yada yada. And even Pastor Manning admits they haven't built nothing, not one seaworthy boat. And if you look at it, whites are the minority. They are. If anyone is the chosen one, it's them. And I think these fake Jews stole that legacy because they saw the power in it for political gain, and you could become untouchable, and they're using it to their favor. But all the Moses, everybody was described as fair skin. They said ruddy, which meant red in the face, and the only people could blame people. And Adam, his name in Hebrew.
You never dated a black girl and made her blush?
No.
No.
But yeah.
I think like the only reason why people would be like, why? Like I don't understand.
What do you guys think? Do you think Jesus is white?
Why it matters? Like why it's such a thing to prove for people? Like why? Is it because if say you're black, right? Grew up in a white country and you see Jesus being white all the time, and a lot of things since it's majority white, you're going to start to see more white things. Do you think there's just a resentment there of that? And it's like, well, you don't know what it's like to grow up being, nobody looking like you in say, for the most part. Do you think so? And it's kind of rebellion for that to be like, well, it's all a lie and everything's, Jesus and Beethoven, everybody was black.
No, I think that's them playing blackwashing everything so that they can destroy white people like they have been for thousands of years. They're the true minority. They've been
Who's the true minority?
White people. They're the only minority. They've been running from the majority and fighting and being much more organized and building greater civilizations.
The thing that trips me out is that, and I think been thinking about this a lot is like, not like a lot, but thinking about it is that white people make up, what's the percentage, 11% of the world?
I think it's actually less now, something like 8%.
Well, very small percentage of the world is white people.
Very small.
So that means that, whatever you want to say about white people, whether they came to America and, stole the land or whatever it is, that there's this very small percentage of white people and they were able to conquer and create the greatest country in the world.
They were able to conquer the known world. So if this little band of ragtag Europeans can conquer the whole world, well then guess what? Guess why they did it? It must be because of supremacy in some way. And it's not what they would want you to think, but I mean, what else could it be? They invented the wheel. They organize better. They do architecture better. When it comes down to it, they fight in battle.
It's funny though, if you mention positive things about white people, like I only hear people say negative things. Like I've never heard anybody like even white people, they're too humble or something. They don't want to like
Well, they've been taught to hate themselves.
They've been taught to hate themselves. They don't want to talk about the positive things like just the reality, like no feelings and no emotion, just objectively looking and being like, wow, like look at this. It's such an uncomfortable conversation for people these days. So people get offended and they don't want to talk about it. They come from this like passionate place of like, oh no, they can't let go.
What's that Agent Smith? It's when you bring up a taboo topic, whether it's World War II or white people aren't evil, the Agent Smith in your friend comes out, and then they just start repeating all the narratives that they were taught. It's all mumbo jumbo.
And the white people that are like anti-white, right? They think they want to be like I'm the different one. Right. I'm different, so I'm a good person.
I love black people.
I'm going to talk against white people too because I want you to know that I'm different, and I'm whatever. I'm the guy that's got everyone else's back.
Yeah, and they actually hate everybody. White liberals are the worst. Malcolm X knew it. He called them out all the time. He said there's nobody more dangerous than the white liberal because they're chameleons. They shapeshift. They force compatibility. They just don't want to be called out, so they'll do whatever it takes to seem like your friend because they won't even face the mess that they are.
See, I grew up in music circles, right, and I've always appreciated musicians that were black and singers and stuff because they had that soul, man. So I always listened to that kind of music, like Stevie Wonder and different people. And so when I started hanging out with musician circles and stuff, I was the one of three white guys in the room. So looking back, it's like I remember I would definitely. I wasn't a fraud. I wasn't fake. I was always genuine with people. But I knew that there was that kind of like thing about white people. Like, well, you'd question like, well, why? How come there's no white people? And like that means that there's this select few that there would be, right? And it would be, of course, because I did music, created music, and I was accepted musically. That was the main reason why. But you can't help but wonder why. And so that would make me want to feel like, well, I want people to like me more, and I don't want people to think that I'm the white guy everyone is raised to think you are, so, and it's a subconscious thing where I would just like, try extra hard to be other people's friend or friendly so that people wouldn't think I was any kind of way, and it's a subconscious thing, like super nice, and part of it's being in the entertainment industry anyways and trying to network and know more people or whatever.
Like overly agreeable.
But looking back, it's like now that I've overcame things in my life where I was just like I don't care anymore. I know who I am, and I'm not defined by what anyone else says I am. So now I can look and I can be honest with myself to see that that I was coming from that place of like really insecurity of what people might think of me.
Exactly. You're trying to help. I was talking to somebody today, and they said it very well that you end up putting more energy into people around you to help them with their mess, so you don't have to deal with yours, and then you keep all eyes off you. It's a great way to deceive yourself. And then you think you're stroking your ego, thinking I'm being useful to somebody, I'm helping, but you're not helping. Who really needs to help is you. You're not dealing with anything inside you, whether it's an issue of you biting your lip, not speaking up when you should be, joining in or letting people hate on you because you might be white or Christian, whatever it might be.
And the world deceives you because they tell you that like someone left a comment on a post I did on Instagram recently. It said something about what was it? You either serve others or you serve yourself, right?
Profound.
And what people don't realize is that if you don't serve yourself and put yourself first, you can't serve others because you don't have an understanding of other people. You got to get to know yourself and know that you got to take care of yourself first and foremost. And once you do that, then you can properly serve other people, right? And when you take care of yourself and serve yourself, it's serving God. You have to serve God. Look out for your best interests first, and then you can take care of someone else.
It's also very narcissistic because most people are going to take that to mean that if you're serving others, I'm being charitable, I'm helping. But the way I look at it, you cannot help anybody. You couldn't help yourself.
Right.
So you don't get to go around and say that, oh, go serve others. No, you don't even know how to serve yourself. So you serve God, and you have a light within you. And you're that light tower on the shore, and you just shine. And those who are seeking and in that vicinity will see that tower, see that light come to shore if they want to come to shore. Otherwise, they'll stay out in the dark. But you don't get to take credit and say, oh, I'll bring them in the shore. I'll guide you in. We can't do anything. And I think that's what I got from his take. He was trying to make it seem like, oh, I can be like Jesus and just go out and help people. No, you can't do any of that. You just got to get right with God, and He'll do everything else.
And that comes from the same place of that insecurity, because you want to, you care about what other people think, and even someone writing a comment like that, it's like people want to look like they're serving others. They want to, because ultimately it comes down to selfishness of what it makes you feel like, right?
Yep.
Most people are going to give the homeless guy money, and you ask him why. They're not going to say, I did it because it was the right thing to do. They're going to say, oh, it made me feel good.
Yeah, I felt bad.
I felt bad, or it made me feel good to give them money, right? So it always comes down to that selfishness deep down, and people aren't honest with themselves about that.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing, is just face yourself. Look at the man in the mirror, like Michael Jackson said, and look at the mess that you are. And then once you can face the mess that you are, you can overcome it. But if you're not willing to admit your mistakes, you'll just end up pointing at everybody else instead of looking at you. And it all starts right there. Just watch yourself. You want to help somebody. If there's ever a chance of you helping anybody, it's not because you helped them. It's because you overcame yourself. And in that, there's a chance for the people around you to better themselves. But it's not your doing it. It's just because you overcame, and you are an example now, and they can see how this guy is overcoming, and I want a piece of what he's got. He looks peaceful. He looks like the world doesn't touch him. I want that.
You like my little piano music?
I love that. It's like I feel like I'm gonna give a big speech in front of.
I'm giving a speech for a crowd of 8.
Hello, man.
Who's in the chat?
We got hot computer smell.
What do you know?
Article 4, Section 4.
Computer smell.
What's up, Dan? It says feels like a black church.
No, black church is like what?
Like little quick sputters. Yeah.
And I like I suck.
I went to a Baptist church. It was that. Like they have this weird style of inhaling and then I and you and then we and then together. And it's just bad.
Well, you know why? At least, I'm not the one with all the answers, but what I say is that people are emotional, right? It just goes to that same thing about feeling. I gave the homeless person money because it made me feel good. So if you're able to be a performer and perform and emote, right, a feeling, then you can seduce people into making them feel as though, oh wow, I've been touched by an angel.
Yeah, I feel something too.
Wow, it is a performance.
It is.
It's a performance.
It's a seduction. It's a striptease.
It is.
It's the same concept as a striptease. You look at a beautiful woman on stage dancing half naked. She's sucking you into her world, into your thoughts about her. It's the same thing that Hollywood does to you. Same thing that your music can do to you. That an angry relationship can do to you.
You could say a whole lot of nothing, right? But if you say, in the power of the Lord Jesus came within, in Jesus' name, you're like, whoa, wow. I was just touched. I heard God's voice. I didn't understand what He said, but I heard it.
It's like those people who pray and always say in Jesus' name as they're reading. It's just like I always felt that was so fake before I did become a Christian. I was like, man, I don't want to be that kind of Christian.
Yeah, and it's so funny that people think, like, in their mind that they need to pray and ask for things. Like, they know what they want, and they know better than God's will, right? That's why I realized I'm not going to, I don't know what I want. I've prayed for things, but it's so dumb because, God knows what I want more than anything else. I don't know what I want. I think I know what I want until I get it, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't want that.
Every time you hold on to what you want, you don't get it, and that's part of what faith is. Faith is letting go of what you think you want.
Holding on is evil too. It's like walking by a rose garden and you're like, oh, that's a beautiful flower. I think I'll pick that flower and keep it as my own.
Keep that beauty.
And then the flower dies. A lot of girls are like that. They can't just observe the beauty of the flower. They have to pick the flower.
You want to collect everything.
Well, at least I put it in a vase and let it live for 2 days.
Yeah, at least I didn't die right away. That's it. Like, if ever there's a chance of you getting the things that you think you want or deserve, it's because you let go of actually wanting it and thinking you deserve anything. You don't just don't want anything. Don't plan. Don't ask. Just be still.
Because it's that highs and lows thing. You subconsciously create problems so that you can create solutions and feel like you're doing something in your life. Like, oh yeah, I've accomplished. I've overcame. And I notice girls do that in relationships. They'll create a problem. They'll create problems out of nowhere. and then you'll work about. You'll have sex, make up sex, and then you do that a few times, and then you're like, well, babe, we've been through so much together, and you're like, well, actually, it was all unnecessary. Like, what was all this arguing and fighting and problems that were created from nothing?
Girls are masters at, like, here's thin air, and that's them grabbing a problem. That's what women do.
Well, because you know why? Is because it's in their nature to be emotional, right? And when you're emotional, and I know, when you're emotional, you are more in your imagination, right? And when your imagination, your thoughts, you're not the thinker, you are the servant of your thoughts. So when your thoughts come, it's part of you. And then you believe it, right? And a lot of people, like, especially mothers, they think that that's the intuitive, like motherly, godly spirit.
Oh, yeah,
that's like,
feminine intuition.
I know everything, right? But they're really just creating a story in their head without it ever being revealed to be true. And I've learned, because I used to do that. I used to have a piece of my mama somewhere inside it. I love my mom. But with that being said, I used to create stories in my head, and it would be a feeding my ego, thinking that I knew something no one else knew.
Right. And you just have this, again, that intuition, which is nonsense. You can, like we were talking about earlier, there is a discernment when you can know something's off.
There is a sense.
Yeah, but it's not because you did anything.
And it's not that you know the reason or anything.
Right.
All it is a compass.
Yeah, something was revealed. You saw something. It could be a twitch in someone's eye. It could be like Bubba lying through his teeth, Wallace, looking up at the sky during the interview, and all these telltale signs of a liar. And you don't have to know and be a psychologist to know when someone's lying.
You don't know
just
the exact story, and it's a sense. And if you get that sense and you're in tune with it, all you can do, because life is binary, it's either right or wrong, good or evil, on or off, yes or no.
Man or
if
woman.
you know it, if you get that sense, then all right, I'm gonna listen to it, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go elsewhere and go towards that sense where it's the opposite, where you get that sense of goodness from people.
Right.
But creating a story in your head about why they're not good or what their motives are or anything like that, like I used to do that, and even if I was right about it, it doesn't matter because it's energy. You're taking away that energy when you really don't know anything, and all you know is that there's a sense there, and you listen to it, and you move on, and you go where your senses take you.
It's like when you fail to see the people and the spirit that they operate from, it drains you and it's exhausting. And that's why the most important thing, if you desire to wake up and overcome your anger, is that you need to have vision. You have to be able to see the spirit that person is operating from before they screw you over or stab you in the back. It's easy to see the dirtbag or the douchebag because they're pretty bold about what spirit they serve. It's not always easy to see the snake in the grass. And like Trevor's dimmer switch example, evil can look like it's different levels. Like dimmer switch is all the way low, the light's barely on, but evil is evil. Doesn't matter if it's on the lowest setting or the highest setting. It's
but
evil.
That's not why they say every sin is a sin, right? It's like you can't compare sins are greater than others because you either sin or you don't.
Right. And then you start playing God, like, well, I only did this and he did that, or she did that and I only did this.
And that's what I realize is that the sin is playing God. Like that's the ultimate sin, is playing God and thinking and judging yourself, judging others. And there's a difference between that sense and judgment of feeling of resentment. Like I realize now resentment and anger is a feeling of judgment, and if you don't have those things, because it is a spirit, then you can be, I think that's the start of being sinless, because you could stub your toe, you could trip over the cat or whatever, but the thing that the sin is how you feel about it.
Exactly.
If you trip over the cat, it's like music. If you play a wrong note, some of the best musicians, they'll make a mistake and you never knew because of the way they recovered and the way they turned that moment into something awesome.
Exactly. It revealed another move that you can make.
But when you stop and you judge yourself, the whole audience can see, and then you fumble and you lost the moment. And I think life is the same kind of way. That if something happens in your life that's out of your control, or you slip up or whatever, you just see it and you react to it in a way that is healthy and creates the magic.
If you stay in that zone, when I used to skateboard and I was trying to go pro, it was how he just said it.
GoPro.
Yeah.
Great cameras.
GoPro. There'd be times where you're doing a trick and it's something that you've been working on. Like, so it can take you hours to land something. You're working on handrails or a big staircase and you're falling all day and nearly breaking your face or some bones. But there's moments where right before you stick that landing, it seemed kind of sketchy, like you were about to just eat it, you know, really in a really bad way. But you didn't lose your composure. You stayed in that zone. You didn't overthink it, and you naturally found the way out. Maybe you were, riding too high on one side, but something happened. It was revealed, like hitting the wrong note. You went for the right note, got it, stuck it, landed it, done. You nailed it. Now you got a great part for your video. Bubba Smollett, yeah, that dude's a piece of crap. And that's the sad part is that there's so many guys like that now that look like guys anatomically, but they act like women and like little kids and they're full of excuses.
They're all driven by that emotion and that victim, I'm gonna show everyone how good of a person I am because I'm gonna show how weak I am. Because these days, people want to get attention and glory for sharing their weaknesses and showing that they're victims, and it's insane. Like, only time I like to share my problems or whatever is when I'm hanging out with just my homies, right, that I trust, and I have a problem or whatever, right, and I talk amongst the men, right. But if it's on social media, I'm only going to share my testimony of how I overcame something, so I can help somebody else. But it's never going to be from a place of like,
feel sorry for me.
Feel sorry for me. I'm a victim, And I think nowadays a lot of people do that, and it's like the thing.
Yeah, or like not to pick on the girls, but like say you're having a disagreement with a girl because she pulled a problem out of thin air. Sometimes they'll throw like, "Well, I'm sad." Like they'll add things that are unnecessary to the progression of getting over that issue, and it's just a sidetrack to indulge her feelings or whatever her thought is about herself or the mistake or whatever the hell it is, and all that is a waste of time. Like, you don't want to get wrapped up in those things that aren't real, and that's where that vision comes in. If you don't have that vision, you can get sidetracked, and you're not going to help her. You're certainly not going to help yourself, and you just might find yourself back in hell again. Catherine Payne with the super chat from heaven.
Thank you, Catherine.
I think she deserves a song.
You're my angel.
That's for you, Angel. She's an angel. She's a white angel. And then, and Catherine is sisters with Christine. They're twins. Remember one of them called in? They're twin sisters.
Remember that movie, Christine?
Is that the horror movie?
Volkswagen?
Yeah, the possessed car. Yeah.
That's another good one to remember to watch. I haven't seen that in a long time. I feel like it's kind of like one of those Carrie movies, same kind of era.
Carrie was nuts.
That's my sister's name. So I agree.
Marty says he's got a Confederate flag face mask. It's pretty based. Pure changes. Pure changes. And then we got Nicholas Gonzalez, the greatest producer in the world.
Nicholas Gonzalez. Nicholas Gonzalez.
If anyone wants to give us a call, feel free. Don't be shy.
Yeah, the number is 883085559.
Don't be a little bitch.
Yeah, we saw, what's his name? Jesse was playing Minecraft today. Pay the bell!
Yeah, that was pretty good, Nick. It was funny to see that Minecraft game.
I was just waiting because I sensed that, like, Jesse's probably, of course he's doing it. He could get, more followers. People are like, wow, that's cool. It's like, it's a kind of a novelty. I get it, right? But I sensed that deep down, Jesse's like, man, F this shit o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, he's like about to throw the mouse, being like, man, this is like, especially Minecraft. It's like a ghetto, like 8-bit looking thing. Like, doesn't even represent like the graphics of like 2020. I remember when it came out, I was like, "What the heck is this? Like, how's everybody into it?" And I get that it's like the Sims kind of thing, you know, where you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're emulating life. I'm building," and because my
I'm
nieces
building my
nieces
world.
play it, you know. But like, imagine Jesse's probably never played a video game in his whole life, like the last 50
And
years.
that's the first one he
That's
plays.
the game he plays. Is like, bro, play some Street Fighter, bro. No,
Some Mario Kart, something. Something with some taste. Oh, we got the Mexican himself, the Snow Mexican. What's up, my Snow Mexican?
Oh, dang, what's up?
That's your music right there.
Nice. Very bossa.
How you doing?
Maybe a little Nova.
That's a salsa.
Oh, yeah, you're right. What am I saying?
You're not Mexican.
He's a Snow
Wait.
Mexican.
Wait, uh-oh. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting called by Jesse. Gotta go.
Oh,
Dad's calling.
Dad's calling.
Dad?
Well, that was Nick, everybody. Nick's, Jesse's like, get off the
You
phone.
know what rhymes with Nick?
Sick.
Thick.
Davey Guitar Man just jumped in.
What's up, Davey?
He says, yeah, saw y'all playing Minecraft and was like, dude, no, it's such a waste of time, bro.
My nieces always beg me to play, and it's like, I'm like, oh, I'll play Mario Kart.
Yeah, I'll play some Gold. I'll smash you on GoldenEye or Mario Kart.
That's old school. And GoldenEye is still one of the best games.
Hands
Ever.
down. Hands down.
Just the functionality of that game.
Meet me in the complex with Natalia. I'll smash on
I
her.
actually have we should play it. I have 2 controllers, but they're not Nintendo 64 controllers, and I have it for my computer, you know, the emulator, and I have GoldenEye.
But it's something about those controls, bro. The 64
You
controls.
can get USB 64 controllers.
Because that's where my muscle memory's at. I'm used to
I
the
know.
feeling of that.
I know.
Hot computer smell. I love GoldenEye. Yeah, GoldenEye was like one of the best games ever. And then of course Mario Kart was just ridiculous. What would Aunt Jemima do? I am at Gran Torino. I didn't really get into those race car games. Gran Torino.
Remember Automobile Lamborghini? It was on Nintendo 64. It was like the first game that it came out. It was like Nintendo. It's had Super Mario and then Automobile Lamborghini. I had that game because it came with my system, but it was so lame.
Yeah, the car driving games were. I mean, I like some of the arcade style stuff like Tekken. Tekken was amazing. Jonathan Pickles. Ervin from Colombia is asking if we can play slow dance, please.
Well, since he's an actual fan of my music and he knows the names of my songs, you got it, buddy. Moments like this really come around. Actions do speak louder. Oops. Then words. So girl, I will make a sound and show you that you found your. How's the chorus go? Slow dance and take a chance. Let's make it last forever. If we move too fast, we might just crash and burn. So take my hand and slow dance, slow dance, slow dance with me. A little bit of romance, like a slow jam. Slow dance with me. Yeah,
Jonathan Pickles says, thank you for the music, bro.
Jonathan Pickles. I saw you. I recognize your name. You were in Jesse's chat. What's up, bro? I was gonna ask you if you're related to Tommy Pickles.
Tommy Pickles, Rugrats. That was another good show.
Hey, cocksucker.
What's up, Nicholas?
Hey, cocksucker.
Hey, how you
Don't
doing?
say that. That is salsa. You're right. My bad.
Bossa Nova's like.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, you're right.
Brazil. Brazil.
Hey.
What's good, Nick?
Man, I put you guys. I miss your live show a lot, but
You
I
do.
put you guys on.
You're
I
a
miss
terrible
you a
friend.
lot, but I put on like the episodes to just hear chatter and like the music when I'm working and doing stuff. So I appreciate it.
It's cool, bro. We're gonna get our equipment up. You know, I'm gonna start making my own remix songs. Get the
That's
music.
sweet, man. You know, you got me way back into music, like all the way.
All the way. Like he penetrated you back into music.
Yeah, man. I'm just like, you know, I order a piano and I'm hitting like, my guitar again.
Oh, what?
It's cool.
Would you get that raise?
Yeah, man. I can play piano. What's that?
Would you get a raise? Jesse's like, wow, man, you've been doing really good out there in those riot streets with those interviews. I'm gonna give you a nice stab.
I didn't know Mexicans played the piano.
Yeah, let's just say yes.
That's what's up, man. Going above and beyond.
Yes, sir.
So,
you guys catch that Minecraft stream?
what's that?
You guys catch the Minecraft stream?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good, man. His character looked crazy. Who built that game for him? Because that's like a custom Jesse world.
Oh yeah, that was just some of our fans.
That's awesome.
I drew his character and I built the computer so that we could play.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man, I thought it would be funny. I thought it was just something on the side I've been working on to see if it would be a hit. But it looks like I didn't even want to announce it because I wanted just like people to just get the notification on their phone and be like, "Wait, is this really happening?"
Exactly. No, you got, dude. That's like ever since you guys been starting that, and then the IG live streams. Those are key, man. I mean, if we're here to fellowship and hang out and do this, I think it should be organic and just jump on.
It's funny,
and talk.
Jesse's gonna, he has interviews with people that get pro gamers and they make a living. He's like, beta male, and now Jesse's a pro
I
gamer
know,
making
right?
money.
Yeah.
It's so funny because he was playing and he's telling me like, "Wow, I can see how like someone could spend a lot of time doing it."
Hey Nick, we got a question from Davey Guitar Man. He wants to know, Nick, what's the hardest part about working with Jesse?
Oh, you know what the hardest part is? It's he's the type of person to do things right or not at all. And it's like you think like that's, oh wow, that's a cool thing. I'm like that same way too, but I'm telling you, Jesse's at another level, and it's very refreshing and it's good. But it's definitely not easy, you know. It asks a lot of you, and when things don't go right, you know, he won't do the show. He'll walk off, and you know, I'm the one sitting there back there sweating, like, oh my god, you know, because I feel like I kind of like take full responsibility, even when like other people do things, and he walks off the show. I feel like I have to fix that, right?
Right. What's a good way to look
And
at
so,
it?
but
I mean, that way.
it's very old school and it's very, very, very tough.
Yeah,
I
agree.
I'm the same way. That's why I do nothing at all.
Yeah, man. He's like, and he'll ask a lot. He'll like, he wants the best out of you. So that's gotta be the toughest thing, to be honest.
Amazing.
It's very refreshing, you know.
What's
I had a lot of bosses who would just let me. Okay, it's whatever.
let you do whatever you want?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool though, because
And
at least you have, you know, you're not intimidated. Like I can imagine people like were probably like, you know, somewhat scared to oppose Jesse or whatever, but you have room to creatively express what you want to do, and not just bow down to like doing only what you're told. Like the fact that you want to express your creativity openly.
You have your own identity, which is nice.
We get one thing. I mean, like that's another thing. Is we get into it all the time in the office. And it's not personal, but we get into it all the time. We get into it like all day, and it's like, well, not all day, but we get into it, and it's just like, it's kind of also been good for me. Like just personally, it's like, okay, I want this, and I should fight for that if I think it's right. I could be wrong, but
dude, that's the thing I've realized too. Like getting rid of
acquiescing, even though it's Jesse, and I respect.
That's the cheat code, man. Getting rid of anger and not having that spirit at all. There's no fear. Like you don't have any like you don't have to worry or question yourself and be afraid of conversations or speaking up on what you see as true or right or whatever. Like because there's not that spirit's not holding you back.
Right, and just because you work with Jesse doesn't mean that he has all the answers that you're always going to agree. And what you need to learn, and what everyone needs to learn, is you can't depend on his light. You have to have your own light to see. And if you see something that he can't, and you're not going to budge on it, then you don't budge. You don't say, well, I guess because it's Jesse, I'm just going to bow my head and give it. No, I'm going to hold my ground and until he either gets it or we just, we hit an impasse and leave it at that.
Big time. And it's like, I find myself, yeah, man. I've been saying big time a lot. I don't know, we say that a lot. We said that a lot in Canada, and I feel like people around me are saying it a lot more, but maybe that's just my head.
Maybe people were saying it around you a lot more, and then you started saying it.
I find myself fighting, I'm not fighting, but I find myself being just more comfortable with just being myself and just disagreeing and stuff. But the funny thing is that we don't disagree on a lot. I mean, it's Jesse, how can you?
Yeah, I can't imagine it's a lot. But I mean, when you have an idea or a way you're going to do it.
Like on the big questions, we don't disagree. There's really little we disagree on. But I'm talking about like little things, like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do the show this way. I think you're wrong about the way you're doing this. And that happens like plenty. Way more than you think.
I think that's a good thing, because then it's like when I create music with someone else, I hate when I make music with somebody else and there's that like, you gotta like stroke each other off the whole time. You're like, oh, that was cool, even though it wasn't. like I have a buddy that I make music with, and we challenge each other's ideas. We're like, yeah, that's cool, but do this. What if you did this better? And you keep doing it, and then you make something. Because if I just did it by myself, I wouldn't be like I would just think everything I did was cool, right? But if then you have someone else there, and you go back and forth, and you challenge it, all of a sudden something. Like, that's the whole point of working with other people, so you can challenge the ideas to be better.
Exactly.
What do you guys take better, compliments or criticism?
I appreciate criticism.
Yeah, I like criticism.
I always figure if someone has...
Which one do you take better?
I think criticism. I think it's like... I mean, I personally am like kind of weary of taking compliments, especially now. You don't want to feed your ego.
I don't take anything. I hear them, but I don't take it. You know what I'm saying? It's not mine. And I thought of that because they're like compliments, right? Compliments. If you take compliments all the time, and I get a lot of compliments, believe that. No, but if I get a lot of compliments, that's why it's like give all the glory to God. Like I don't want to like get my identity from what other people say about me, whether it's positive or negative. Like so it's really the same kind of thing. Like. If someone says something, it's for a reason, like especially criticism, and they could say it because they don't like you and they're trying to piss you off, or they could say it like you can see there's a seed of truth in it, even if you disagree. It was like, well, they said it, so maybe that's how I occur, or maybe whatever. Like,
I get wary of compliments. In fact, when I start seeing a bunch of babies in the chat or fans of ours complimenting me a whole bunch, I'm just like, oh, I'm doing something wrong.
It's kind of like your mom. As a kid, your mom would always be your biggest fan. You don't want people to mother you, because that's what your mom would do. Oh, my boy's the greatest.
You're special.
He's so smart. He's just an amazing child. It's like they build your ego up. So like, I'm the same way. Be a little weary of compliments.
Yeah, and
I'm getting a little worried.
Yeah, I feel like Jesse's not much of a complimenter.
He I don't know. No, I think he does it at proper times. He's like, when someone's just great, he's just like, he like builds them up like in front of everybody. He's like, wow, look, Christina is amazing.
Yeah.
And then when they're like, when they mess up, like if it's, I think he follows a good style. Like
You know how I see
praise
it?
in public, and criticize in private, but you criticize in public too.
Hell yeah, you will.
Yeah. I'm like, wait, what? I see it too, like with girls or something. Like you see a beautiful girl, like it's not a compliment. It's just the truth. One thing I always say is like, oh, if you, I don't know, I don't go around complimenting a bunch of girls, but if I did, it's like she'd be like, oh, thank you, and you'd be like, no, it's just the sky is blue whether you say it or not. You know. I'm not saying it to try to get something out of it. It's like you either say what's true.
Right.
If it's great, it's
I think people can tell when that happens. It's kind of nice to just be whatever, like just be honest about that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like I know with like music is a tricky thing. Like being in like, you know, like being in all these different studios, growing up and everything, and hearing people's music, and I never wanted to just be the one to like shatter someone's dreams. You know, where you hear something and you're like, that's whack, throw it out. You know, but I would say stuff like, oh, what have you ever thought of, what if you thought about like doing this? Maybe what if you thought about like just deleting the whole song?
I know what you mean, especially I bet you in music it's like circle jerk central, I can imagine.
Oh man, and the people too that are just like the ones that hype themselves up the most are like, oh man, this shit's fire, man, I got the best dopest thing right here, blah blah blah. I'm just like, push play, bro. I don't want to hear what your opinions are. Then they push play, and you're like, oh,
It's trash.
trash.
True. I know, man. I get that a lot on my own stuff. Like I'll be, let's say even the show, it'll be like, I'll make a packet for the next day, like stories of what we're gonna do, and then I'm just like, it's like 8 p.m. and I'm like, this is absolute garbage, and I'll throw it away and start again. You know?
It's good though to like not to
That's like a
blow
limit
smoke up
to
your own
that,
ass.
though. You can do that incorrectly.
I remember when I would smoke weed, like I'd be making music and I'd be super high, and I'm like, man, this is the best. And then the next day when I wasn't high, I'd listen to it, I'm like, man, this is trash.
Yeah, man. Man, you really can't be in your head like that. You know, you'll never finish anything.
Yeah, you create it, you let go of it. Maybe you look at it later, like you said, you see your packet, and you're like, oh, well, that's kind of weak. And you see a way to make it better, so you do better. And if you can't see a way to make it better, you leave it alone.
Honestly, and I'll sit, and those are the mistakes, is when I sit there and I'm trying to figure it out. But when I walk away, the packet just comes to me.
Right. That's what I try and, you know, people ask me my take on, you know, thoughts versus reality, and how do you know if you're seeing a revelation or you're seeing your thoughts. For me, if I have a debate going on in my head before I came to that decision, then I was in my thoughts. If there was no debate and it just kind of like, you know, fell in my lap, then that's more likely a revelation.
You know, on that too, I think about I don't like if I'm the thinker, right? That means that my thoughts are ideas, right? And I see that ideas are different than thoughts, because if thoughts come to you and you just pull them and go with them, that's not being a thinker. That's being a servant of your thoughts. But if you like have that intention where you sit down and you think, like they're like, sure, that could be a lie, but it does give you that clarity to see that it's an outcome. You know, if you're the thinker, you can create outcomes and then execute them.
Oh. So it's like you're just letting them go, like just a tool.
Yeah, like no, it's like there's a difference between thoughts coming like clouds that I can like, you know, that I observe, and then, you know, a lot of people it'll those thoughts will come and they don't know that they're not seeing that those thoughts are there. But then there's those kind of thoughts where you're the thinker, thinking the thoughts with intention behind it, like if you're brainstorming or
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm following you. They're like they're in fact completely different things.
Exactly. Like, and that's what I focus on now. Is like I want to be the thinker, not the servant of my thoughts.
Right.
Right.
Interesting.
Amazing. Interesting.
I know it's like inside when you're friends with people and you all have the same inside joke.
Exactly.
Big time.
Big time.
Big time, baby. Have you guys ever heard? Have you guys ever heard the like when someone calls someone sketchy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's common. Yeah, that's common. I don't know why I thought that was Canadian.
Whenever I'm talking about you, that word always
Have
comes
you ever
up.
heard someone? Have you ever heard someone called a sketchy pimp?
A sketchy pimp?
I'm a sketchy pimp.
Only a pimp
Yeah, I'm
who
still
was
a sketchy
sketchy.
pimp.
So Nick, do you wear a mask when you go to the store, or do you try and walk in without one and make them force
Okay,
you?
so this is my move. So this is my mask move. So I have a mask, right? But I don't wear it outside. Hell no.
Yeah.
I basically wear it as little as possible. I don't wear it anywhere, to be honest.
Yeah.
But my move. So for example, when I walk into a store, I wish you could see my face, but my move is I walk into a store and I look at the cashier or whoever's there, and I give them this look like, really, you want me to wear this thing? And usually they'll be like, whatever.
Have you seen on social
But
media
sometimes
going around? There's a little picture on social media that's like an FD. What is a card? It's a card that's like
ADA.
show this to somebody. You know, like, have you seen that?
Yeah, because technically,
I tried that.
yeah, what'd they say?
Someone gave that to me at church.
I mean, that's the thing is, like, you can do it. Like, I've done it at the Ralph's. I walked in without a mask, and there was a couple short, employees that, try to give me the evil eye. And then just like you did, I just stared at them and just waited to see if they're going to say something. I think they were intimidated by the beard. And then that's it. They just walked away. And no one says anything. You just act nice, polite, and I haven't had any issue. Some places, yeah.
No,
If I'm at a restaurant, they're like, can you please grab it?
Yeah, someone gave me that at church. I'll try it. Today at the gym, this fucker went right up to me. He was like,
Watch your
"Okay,
mouth,
Watch
buddy."
your mouth.
Huh?
Watch your mouth. Millennial.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a sketchy pimp. My bad.
Sketchy pimp.
But this guy came up right up to me. He's like, man, you gotta wear a mask or else we're not gonna be able to work out, any of us. And I'm just like, go and tell everybody else here too that doesn't have a mask.
It's such a stupid thing.
And F off.
It's going to make you
And then he went
hypoxic.
and told on me.
They told on you?
He told on me, but I was already done, and then I was like already done. So he was barreling down the hall with some big old lady, and I was already done. So
I
went
can't.
to the
Those are like
change
the
room.
worst kind of people, man. Like when guys act like little children like that, it's so stupid. Like we were at after church last service, we went to Chipotle, remember? And they were like, "Oh, can you put your mask on?" I was like, "No, I'm eating here." And I pointed at Mark and his wife. I said, "They have no mask. You don't need one to eat here, so I'm not gonna wear one for 5 minutes while I order." And like 3 employees tried to tell me to put it on. It's just like you just gotta kind of be firm without making a show of it.
You know what I want to do more is, places don't really give me crap too much anymore, especially because I'm dining in. But like, if they tell you to wear a mask and say, "Oh, do you guys provide masks?" And if they say no, then I'm thinking, so I have to go spend money somewhere else before I can spend money here.
Nice, good move.
Sounds insane.
And the people who are not even workers, they're like, you have to wear a mask. That's like a power trip. You know what I mean? They're like,
Oh, hell yeah.
let me make this person wear a mask.
It makes them feel like they're such a good freaking person. They care about the world.
That's the feeling I got from that guy today. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. They think they're a
It's like
damn
saving
savior.
the freaking world from me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, bro. Like that's why like when there's a
He
loophole.
said that to me while I was on rep 6 of a bicep curl. I'm just like, really, right now, bro? Go tell everybody else.
Exactly, and just I mean I think the more that people don't put up with it, the more that they're gonna get tired of having to correct people, and at some point you hit a tipping point where there's just too many people not complying, and they give up. And if the employees want to wear one, go ahead and wear one. You're protected. I don't need to wear one.
My freaking striated fibers were ripping apart, and this kumbaya comes right up to me to tell me some crap like that.
This freaking Goomba comes up in the middle of my tri.
So I was
My
driving.
tricep.
So I was driving
This
down
This
PCH.
Goomba.
This mook comes in my superset, working my biceps and my triceps.
No, but this is a real story. I was driving down PCH and I see this guy on the side of the road selling $20 apples. So I pulled over. I was like, "Why are apples $20?" He's like, "Because they taste like a ham and cheese sandwich." I was like, "No way." So I bought it, $20 apple, right? I bite into it, boom, ham. I was like, "Where the hell's my cheese?" He said, "Turn it around." So he turns it around. I bite into it, ham and cheese sandwich. He's like, "You like that? I got a better one. Tastes just like vagina." And I was like, "What? How much is that?" He's like, $50. I was like, $50 apple? All right, so I gave him $50. I bit into it. I was like, "This apple tastes like shit." He said, "Turn it around." That's what she said.
Guys, it's been a freaking pleasure. You know, I got 1%. I don't want it to cut off and then it just end awkward.
No worries, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in, Nick.
If I envision you with a charger, it's got like a frayed end on it. It's all like messed up. You know, like one of those
Barely holding on.
Barely holding on. That's what kind of charger I imagine you
The
have.
charger I have is like that.
Exactly. I can see it.
Like, it's the kind of charger where you just make it work.
I have to like set it nicely for it to charge my phone.
Jesse, the only chargers you have are the broken ones Jesse like gave to you as hand-me-downs.
Yeah, you gotta bend it and then put it against the wall so it holds in place.
Yeah, I haven't graduated to that level yet.
Well, thanks for calling in, Nick. We'll see you at Sunday
it's a
church.
pleasure, man.
Oh yeah, it was my birthday,
Yeah,
bro. It was my birthday the other day, bro. See if Ermias can round up $40 from everybody so we can get a fat
I
stack.
saw that you went up to see your dad. I didn't know it was your birthday.
See if Ermias can round up $40 from everybody so I can get a fat stack.
We need to get a fat stack for Trevor's birthday. See what Ermia says about that.
Dirty. That's
See,
a good one.
Nick knows the inside joke.
Oh, he knows. He
knows.
He got that text.
We got the same text.
Oh, I got that text, and I didn't hear the end of it if I didn't respond.
I know, right? I didn't respond. I was like, come on, bro. It's the middle of the pandemic. But
That's good, man. I'm gonna ask him if he's got 40 for you.
yeah, $40. And tell him my birthday's in September, so I want a fat stack for my birthday too.
Guys, it's been a pleasure, man.
All right,
Take
bro.
care.
Take care.
I'm watching.
All right,
Peace
later,
out.
Nick. Jonathan Pickles wants to know, what does kick rocks mean? It means
Get out of here!
get the hell out of here! That's it, kick rocks.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
Masks are mandatory only if you leave your desk at work. That's ridiculous.
Exactly. It's like when I went to a restaurant, everyone's sitting down is eating, right? No masks. But if you get up to go to the bathroom, you got to put your mask on because when you're standing, it's more contagious.
It's the stupidest thing. Just like at the Chipotle, I gotta wear it while I order, but if I move 10 feet to the left and sit down, I don't need a mask.
Everything these days is like that, though. It's all like kiss ass. It's all because of perception, how it looks. You know, oh, I gotta look like I care. I gotta look like I'm doing a good job. That's why all these restaurants and everybody's all, you know, all forcing their political beliefs on everyone because they're like, I'm in the club, guys. We're in the club too. We just want more customers.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. It's a control issue. Like Nick said, these people feel like they're such good people because they're gonna give you a bunch of crap about not wearing a stupid mask. I mean, and then you see parents walking around outside. They don't have masks on their kids, but they're wearing one. Is that child abuse? If there's this deadly virus going around, but you don't put a muzzle on your little rotten child, but you wear
Put a
one?
muzzle on it.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Nick is great. Thanks, Marty.
Bill Maine is great.
Can go to a restaurant, but I can't pee on the floor. No, you cannot, Mickey D. Not unless you're an animal. Hot Computer Smell says, Nick, not sure yet, but if the graphic designer's position is still open, I may take you up on it. Alan B, is kiss ass a bad word? No, it's just a bad look.
Yeah. Kiss ass is like have you ever kissed a donkey? Badass though.
What's up, paramedic? Sylvia Smith? Alan B?
What's a monomedic?
A monomedic.
Because you can have a paramedic and then singular
Monomedic.
monomedic.
Trimedic?
Yeah.
Then wear an effing mask. The mask is stupid. Yeah. Don't wear a mask. I mean, at least walk in without it. And if they're really, like, say you really want to eat somewhere and you just don't want to go through the hassle of driving somewhere else, then whatever, wear it just long enough to get that bag and you take it off in front of them. And you just keep being a little shithead, you know? Make them work for it. Don't just give in so easily. Catherine Payne, you're amazing.
Thank you, Catherine.
I love you. Nicholas Gonzalez, thank you for the super chat as well.
Thank you, Nick.
He says, sorry, I swear, like I was raised by animals and kitchen guys, smoking bones on milk crates out back.
Yeah, would you call your father and talk the same way?
Yeah, you wash that mouth. You go wash it out. You filthy mouth.
Yeah, or else I'm going to send this right in your sinkhole.
Yeah. Something about your face, Nick, just makes me want to just punch it.
Makes me want to send one right of these in your sinkhole.
Or maybe not. Let Chinese people into the U.S. for a bit. No, we got enough Chinese people. In fact, I would vote, if I was president, I would round them all up and then send them back. Arigato, whatever. Sheshe.
Arigato is thank you, right?
But I think it's Japanese. But
It
it's
is
all the
Japanese.
same thing. Doesn't matter. Sayonara. Get
Or
out of here.
arigato is yes. No, hi is
Hi.
yes. Arigato is thank you.
And in Chinese, I know sheshe is like. I
If
don't know
anyone
how it
speaks
means.
Korean, I remember when I was in Taekwondo, Hapkido, you know what I'm saying? I learned how to count to 10. I probably can't do it good. It was a hana, do, se, net. That's 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's all. I think that's all I remember. Hana, do, se, net.
I know gung hai fat choi. Chinese New Year.
You would know a fat
Gung
choi.
hai fat choi. I
You
know
like-
fat choi.
He knows fat choi.
That's right. The ones who drive with the masks are the worst. Yeah, they're the biggest pussycats in the world. If you're a guy who drives with a mask, just take off your penis and turn it in. You don't need it anymore. It's ridiculous.
Every time I get in an Uber with somebody, I always end up talking to the Uber driver and just totally red pilling him. Like, I know that I'm planting a seed in him. Pause. Like, even if they disagree, like, I know they're thinking about it. Because there's too many things going on right now that are like, come on, bro. Seriously?
It just takes one voice of reason. I went to my physical therapist today, and it's always a mixed crowd. There's some Armenians, some bros, and a couple old white Jewish people. And my PT is a Korean dude, American guy, but Korean heritage. But he's based conservative. And he starts talking about Black Lives Matter, but of course he lowers his voice. He's like, man, these Black Lives Matter guys are out of their minds.
Did you see the video of, there's like a whole group of Black Lives Matter people, like, and they're all white, of course, white liberals, that just march into a restaurant and they're like, black people are dying every day. Like just saying a bunch of stuff and everyone's eating and like, even a black guy is looking like, yo, what are you doing here? And the restaurant just lets them go in and do it. I'd be like, I'm gonna need my money back, please, and I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, it's so rude.
You should be able to punch people in the face
Send
legally.
them right to their sinkhole.
Right in their mouth, in a knee to the groin, if they do that. Like, we need to go back to the Wild West. We need to repeal the 19th Amendment, starting with that, and then just make it legal to punch lefties in the face.
Well, I don't understand is when did, like look at like Martin Luther King era, right? He protested and marched, right? And he gave profound speeches that inspired people and got into people's minds and was like, wow, that's amazing. And people still quote him today. None of these people are doing anything profound. They're just marching and having a temper tantrum, like, rioting or ruining things.
Yeah, just
They're
yelling
calling people names.
No, I saw some white girl yelling at a black cop, trying to tell him what racism is and that he's a traitor to his race. It's just the ego in these people. They're just like a bunch of little angry teenage girls just throwing a fat tantrum. It's just ridiculous.
Fat Choi tantrum.
Yeah, fat choy. Catherine, again, thank you for that amazing super chat.
Thank you, Catherine.
And yes, Nick has a filthy mouth. Sylvia says, my husband's doctor said he didn't need a mask, and he's old. No one needs a mask. This virus is a bunch of crap.
You know what it is it's all control, like you said, and it's all it's training to get you to follow the control. They're gonna start implementing more tax of control, and it's always gonna be the Democrat lefties that are about control, just like Satan is about control. God loves you so much that you're free, that you can walk off a cliff, you can do drugs, you can do whatever you want, because he wants you to know for yourself, and for you to learn on your own. But these Democrats, they don't serve God. That's for sure.
What's up, bud? Who's this?
Hey, what's up, man? This is Trevor.
Trevor. We got Trevor squared.
TNT, man, it's dynamite, bro.
What's up, Trevor the second?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm just enjoying the show right now.
Nice.
Thanks for calling in, man.
Did you say this was Mike?
No, it's Trevor.
So what's good, man? Where are you calling from?
Anyway, I'm calling from Tucson, man.
Tucson, man.
Nice.
Shit, man.
Better have two sons and two daughters.
Two
Yeah,
songs.
man. Can't be scared, man, with the way this KJ came, man.
Shit, man.
What did he say?
I don't know. It reminds me of the Water Boy.
There's a delay on the video, man.
There is? Yeah, between us talking and the video is delayed. That's the YouTube delay.
This whole Bubba Wallace thing.
Oh man, what do you think about it?
Man, I think this man's lying, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's straight up lying.
I mean, anybody who has any minute amount of discernment can know that he's lying. It's funny because I'll go on Facebook and people are like, I can't believe people are saying this is a hoax. You know, like they don't see it. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Even Don Lemon knew it was a hoax, and Don Lemon is a lemon.
So, what do you think?
I know.
What do you think people should be doing with these, with the riots and things? Do you think they should go towards the riots, retreat, fall back, stock up on guns and ammo? What's your take?
Man, it's complicated what I think about this riot, man. I don't think how it's helping people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Continue.
Yeah, I don't see how it's helping anyone.
The riots? No, they don't help anybody. They just help these looters get free crap.
Yeah, man.
Well, did you have any questions for the chat, Trevor?
Yeah, I was wondering what do you think about the future of this country, man? Tearing down the statues.
The future of this country. I think we're at a turning point, and we either are going to make a hard left towards communism, or we're going to put our foot down and stop it, because it's what happened in Russia in 1917, what happened in Germany in the 30s, is now happening to America.
Yeah, man, it's not right. I mean, Bubba Wallace, he don't look right. You know, he looked like something wrong with him, you know?
I have faith, but at the same time, it's like, I know the media is showing you more people, like, they make it look like there's a lot more people that are, like, you know, insane, but it's a smaller amount than you think, because, like, you know, go on social media, like, there's a lot of people that don't follow all this crap, but just because these big corporations and companies are all following, you know, it's all, like, you know, I don't know, I have somewhat faith in the people of America, but it looks like we're being infiltrated in government and all kinds of different ways of people that are just anti-American. They need to bring treason back.
What do you think about these transgender kids, Trevor?
I think it's sad.
I know, man, because how does a child make that choice at such a young age?
They don't. It's child abuse. Kids don't know.
Yeah.
Kids don't think. You know, they don't know enough about life. You can't make a decision like that, you know, as a kid or even really as an adult, because there's a high percentage of people that regret it or that are suicidal afterwards, and it's a pretty big deal to cut off your private parts.
I think it's a spiritual thing. What do you think about that?
A spiritual what?
I think it's a spiritual thing that's going on. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely parents. It's trauma, and you know, kids don't really know how to express themselves, because I realized for myself, I had good parents, but there's still things I understand from the way I was raised. It's like, especially with moms, they have a very they're very willful, and they impose themselves on. You know, if you're a kid and you have somebody, you know, you look up to as like a god, which is like your parent, and they impose on you so much, their identity goes into you. And I think that's what's happening with these kids, is that they are confused about their identity because of so many different factors imposing onto them, and they don't know themselves, you know?
Right. What do you think about Netflix and all the propaganda films and shows they make?
Anytime somebody asks me if I've seen a documentary on Netflix, I'm like, come on, bro. It's all propaganda.
I know, it's for the same. Yeah, the past 7 years, man.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
You know, I don't want to take too much of your time.
It's all good, man. I
love
appreciate the
show,
call, bro.
Man, every night I look forward to your show.
Dude, thank you for the support and for calling in and hanging out, brother.
Man, thank you very much, man. You keep up the singing, it's amazing.
I appreciate it, man. I got no other choice.
Yeah, super talented, man. You and Richie, you're going places, brother.
Well, who knows?
Yeah, you take care now,
All right,
alright?
you too, man. Peace.
Take care, bud. Peace.
Reality is everything I do, right? It's all in the hands of people. There's nothing that I can't, make anything happen in my life, because what I do is I create music, I create art, or whatever it is I create, and so hopefully I create something that is good that people like and enjoy, and then they want to share it, or they want to listen to it. So really, it's all in my life is in everyone else's hands but my own. Yo, Rich, where you at?
From
Hello?
This is Seth.
Seth.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Yo.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, bro?
How's it going? This is Seth again. I've called in a few times. Richie knows me.
What's up, Evan Rude?
How's it going? I'm just at work, mopping the floor.
Nice.
But I was just calling in because that guy was awesome. I don't know who he was, if he calls in or anything a lot, but that dude was just cool and funny. I mean,
Yeah, he
seems like a
reminded
good
me of
guy.
Cartman. I thought we were getting pranked for a second.
Yeah.
I know. I couldn't tell if it was a prank for sure, but if he's not pranking, that dude should have a show of his own or something, because
Yeah.
it seems like a real personality. But there was something else you guys were talking about that kind of triggered something in my head about, everybody's wondering what's happening and how are we going to turn it around and stuff, and then people talk about like making a Northwest Territory or whatever, Greater Idaho.
That's right.
People keep asking, what do you think is going to happen? What's going to happen? Is Trump going to get reelected? Is our gun rights going to be taken away? All these questions, what's going to happen? And then when anyone tries to bring up the kind of gathering together, I feel like it's kind of looked down on. It's like people think it's LARPy and stupid and whatever, and that's fine, it might be, but I just had the feeling that even if that is stupid, that people should all just decide, it doesn't matter where, it just has to be the same spot. If worse comes to worse, at least we'll all have this last-ditch backdoor plan. We're going to go to Idaho or somewhere,
Yeah.
Montana.
Yeah, that's the.
I don't know how you guys feel about when people bring that up. Do you think it's stupid, talking about, like, maybe all the people who sort of think like us,
No.
like-minded people, move
Not
to one
stupid
place?
at all. I'm actually looking at property in Idaho. They call it the Last American Redoubt. It's a political migration movement that says that white Christian Americans should, in a crap hits the fan scenario, should be aware that their strength is in numbers, and you want to be surrounded by people who have the same values. Be around other based Christian Americans, white people, if you're white, or at least just have the same values as those white people. And the reddest state in the union by far is Idaho, and parts of eastern Washington, eastern Oregon, northern Utah, and Wyoming. And there's a guy named Joel Skousen. He did a lot of research, a military veteran, where he broke down the pros and cons of every single state.
Pros and cons.
The pros and cons of every single state in the union, based on everything from resources, minerals, water, politics, population size, and density, and where would be the most dangerous places to be, where you're going to fend, Mad Max style, or where you might be able to defend your homestead. And the best places he found were going to be the Last American Redoubt. Second best would be in the mountains of the Ozarks, or Appalachia.
Oh, yeah. Like, where's that? Like Tennessee, Kentucky,
Yeah, I
North
think
Carolina?
West Virginia and all that. Just, lots of mountains out there, and it's like the Afghanistan of the U.S.
Yeah.
but I like
that sounds
the idea of Idaho.
You do.
The only thing is, I think that the people who immigrated here from overseas, who settled in Appalachia, I'm not a history buff, but I have heard that they had a really hard time because it was really hard to grow food.
Yeah, they do have a longer growing season than Idaho, and the soil in Idaho is very rocky, so you may get unlucky and you'll have to, have mechanics to get a drill for your well, but you do have a longer growing season. It's not impossible, and like most things, think creatively. Do a greenhouse. You can do greenhouses, put them into the earth about halfway in, stable temperature, very easy pest control. That's what I would do. I'd want a greenhouse in the earth.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, it sounds like you're a step ahead of me. A lot of times I'll hear some of the popular talking heads kind of scoff at that idea, and I was just thinking, even if you do scoff at that idea, and you think it's a bad idea to, like, maybe talk about it, maybe you don't want to make it known, maybe that's one reason people don't like to talk about it.
Yeah, you don't want everybody going to Idaho. My buddy's out there. He does real estate. He said they issued 75,000 new Idaho plates to out-of-staters. So they're already seeing a huge influx into Idaho because everyone's running. Everyone's jumping ship.
Yeah, I live in Oregon, and it makes me so mad when not so mad. I do have a problem with anger. I have that beta energy still. You guys know that, but
yeah,
I do get mad when I see these out of place, like California, Texas. I just see these places everywhere. I'm like, I didn't move to your land. Stay out of mine.
Imagine living in your home place is California, in LA, where everybody who lives here is basically from somewhere else. They're coming here to be famous because they want to be around all the celebrities, right? So nobody's really from here. And then they come here and they push their leftist agendas on everything and just turn it into an S-hole city. Yeah, that's my life.
Yeah. I did have a question for you guys.
Sure.
Especially Trevor, because Trevor always brings this up about, like, the parents imprinting their ego on the kid. And just
their identity.
burdening them. Right, and I see. I'm not a good person. I have a lot of flaws. I drink kratom and choose these nicotine pouches. So all day, like, whenever I'm upset, instead of relying on God all day, I'm choosing the chemical, and I basically view it as like idolatry, and I feel like a slave to my addiction. So I don't want to imprint this, and it makes me angry too. It makes me out of control. If you're messing with chemicals and messing with your mind, even nicotine. If you're addicted to nicotine and then you don't have nicotine, you could get possessed with anger.
The root is not all those other things, though. It's why you're doing them. If you have anger and like, there's things to figure out for yourself, and that's the number one thing. Like, the problem is you're judging yourself and you're playing God, and you do whatever it is that you do, and then you judge yourself for it and you feel guilty, and then you feel guilty about feeling guilty, and it's like a spiraling.
Yeah. Well,
like
maybe I just don't have my have it exactly pointed out what it is.
I think if you just know when you're wrong, right, and that's it. Let it go. That's it.
Don't overthink about it. Don't dwell on it. Just watch yourself getting that kratom and throwing it in the cup, mixing it in the water. See you drinking it down. Be aware of the effects of it. Just see how it messes you up for the day, how it sets you up. And that's it. And then by watching it, you will realize, man, this is pretty. I feel like an idiot, and it'll fall away. But it won't happen if you just keep getting mad, like, oh, I can't believe I did it again. It's when you get pissed at yourself for doing it, you end up doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, exactly. Just watch yourself.
So, yeah, I was just wondering any tips you guys had for, maybe might not have myself totally figured out, but I'm in charge of the care of a kid, basically, completely by myself. She sleeps with her mom, but that's about it. And so, what would you recommend I do to not imprint bad things on her?
Have you forgiven your parents yet? Remember we talked about it last time. Have you gone to them?
Yeah, I haven't talked to them, no.
Well then you can't do anything else to deal with that.
That's the number one thing I need to do, huh?
Number one thing.
Yeah, man. Because if you think about it, right, you were brought into this world, and your parents were the first ones. Your mom was the first female woman that you knew. Your dad was the first man you knew. And so if they have some kind of control or fear in you of them, then they control you. And so if you can overcome them, then you'll gain your control back and your power within yourself, so that you can overcome anything.
Yeah, because you're still that child that's intimidated by mom and dad, and you don't want to hurt their feelings, and you don't realize it, but you are still that child that got yelled at or, was spooked by their little, hissy fit. So if you don't face them,
I don't actually disagree with you there.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I'm not trying to be dismissive of the.
You gotta face them and get your nuts back as a man. If you don't got your nuts, you're not gonna be able to conquer anything else.
Yeah.
And what's crazy, bro? What's crazy is it's harder to think about it and putting it off and dwelling about it, because then it just haunts you, right? You know it's something you gotta do. So when you know there's something you gotta do, you just do it. Otherwise, you suffer. It's like if you think about, I gotta take the trash out, and then all day you're anticipating that you gotta take the trash out, and you suffer, and it's robbing you of all these moments in life. When if you just took it out, right when you knew that there's no perfect time for it. A lot of people will be like, oh, well, it's not the right time. I'm waiting till I'm ready or whatever. And it's just all to haunt you. And if I'm telling you, if you just get it out of the way and you just do it, and it's amazing, bro.
You won't have as many questions.
All right, well, I can commit to doing that. What? Someone asked me a question?
No, I just said you won't have as many questions. Once you take care of mom and dad, it'll get easier and easier. And you gotta be patient with it. It's not everything's overnight. You realize a lot of things instantly, but some of those things will the ego will die slowly over the next few weeks to months, and just let it happen.
Well, I can commit to doing that.
Do it.
I can do that.
Do it, man. Just remember, you're not there to beg for forgiveness, and the only thing you're gonna say sorry for is that you gotta apologize for resenting them, for hating them, and being angry at them because you had no right. You weren't there. They were born as a child once too, and they were innocent, and their parents screwed them up. So you have to. When you understand that, you're like, wow, it's a cycle. Like they were a child, just like your kid. They were a little kid, and their parents failed them, and then they grew up and they failed you. And you're gonna fail your son or your daughter if you don't overcome this.
Yeah, that's what I'm most concerned about. So I'll do that this week for sure.
Amazing.
And then I have one more topic that we can discuss, or not if it's boring if you talked about it too much.
No,
but
shoot, go ahead. You got us.
When we're talking about the place we can all go, whether it's Idaho or Montana or the Appalachian Mountains or wherever.
Yeah.
We do. I think it is important to have a primarily white-centered society, but the thing is, and like in my life, I'm probably considered the most racist person of anyone I know.
You gotta embrace it.
Go ahead.
You just gotta embrace it, man. It's not a real word.
It's not a real thing. Like, racism, you either have anger and hatred or you don't. And that's what it is. It's the root.
If they call me racist, I just say thank you. It's like I get. It's a joke now. I don't care. They can call me. Yeah, sure. I'm your guy.
Yeah, I'm not worried about being labeled it anymore. If there's a list somewhere, I'm already on it. So
that's right.
I'm not trying to change my tune or anything, but even me, who all my friends and my family would consider me the most radical, extreme guy on the topic of race, I wouldn't care if there were people of other races in our new community. You know, just like you were saying. You know, you said white people, but then you said, or other people if they think like that. Like,
Exactly.
I have to share. The thing is, you're a fool if you don't recognize that this country and in all of Western society, from Europe to now, was founded on the culture and values of white people. And yes, they can vary among themselves from the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Italians, the Nordics, you know, the English, the Celtic, and Scots. But they are all still very similar. They organize a certain way, they build their societies a certain way, and we gotta respect that. And if you care about this country and you want to preserve what was great about it and not lose it to evil, well then you have to admit that you gotta stand up for white people and white culture to achieve that. And to ignore that and think that you don't have to do that and it's wrong to admit it, then you're a fool. Because it's a battle for the culture that is unique to white people. But they've embraced plenty of other people. You got people like Jesse, Thurgood Marshall, Dr. Ben Carson, because they love those values, so they get accepted into this civilization, this society. But if you don't like these values, then you're out of it, and you're not my friend, and you're an enemy.
I would be so. I mean, I know it's a joke in the like kind of white right-wing circle, but I would so be happy to have Thomas Sowell or Larry Elder as my neighbor.
I love Larry Elder.
That's right. Those guys are
exactly,
based.
man. Because that's why racism is a joke. It's like it's not real because it's about character. It's about your values. It's about your spirit. That's why you know if you recognize that you have anger, right? You find that forgiveness and way to overcome it so that you fine tune yourself, and that'll give you clarity about who your people are. Because if you still have anger, then you know nobody's your people, right? You're like. Angry people, they really have no love for anybody because they're like ticking time bombs. All it takes is one thing, whatever that is, that's going to make them turn on you or whatever. Like, I think, you know, it's not about race at all. It's about those values and the spirit you serve, and that'll help you find your family and have that discernment to be able to know who is your people.
That's it. And, you know, the demographics are definitely stacked. You know, you're not going to find as many based black people or Mexicans as you would whites.
But I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies.
Yeah, but you know, doesn't mean it can't be overcome. You know, like Jesse says, not all, but most blacks hate whites. You know, it's sad, but it's true. But can they overcome? Yeah, look at Larry Elder, like you said, it can. But there's a hell of a lot of them who are dead asleep, and that's their fault, not ours. So, you know, I think white people need to stand up, stick together, and learn how to see who's really on their side. And who doesn't give a damn about white people, white culture, and American culture?
Yeah. When I think of black people as a whole, that's usually the first thing that comes to my mind is that they hate me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had a black friend. I live in a really white place, and there were like 2 black girls at my school, and I wasn't really friends with a lot of girls in school. I mean, I had a girlfriend, but I wasn't friends with a bunch of girls.
Yeah.
And so there were no black kids in school. And my only interactions with black people have been kind of negative, like a sly remark or like an obvious, like, you know, troubling look. Like a guy furrowing his brow at me, obviously. Not like me just interpreting.
I know what you mean. Yeah, a lot of them they got a chip on their shoulder.
But then when I hear guys calling on your show, it's like, you know, it's totally different.
See, that's why I'm doing this, man, because I grew up around black people all the time, and you know, that's when I started speaking up, like without anger and just calling things out that were true, right, out of love. Like I never turned on anybody, but people turned against me, and so doing this show, right, it's like holding up a flag. Like, hey, like, and the ones that get me, like, doesn't matter what ethnicity they are, they're going to get me, and it's going to be, like, it's going to be real friendship, because I assumed people were friends because they were talented, because they had a nice personality, because I was agreeable, and I was controlled, and I was basically walking on ice because I just wanted people to like me, and now that I don't care, and I realize who I am and who I'm not, and what I stand for, and holding up that flag, like, I don't care who it is, man. Like I love black people. I love white people. I love Asian people. Like, and I appreciate the differences in the cultures, right? But there should be able to be, you appreciate the difference in cultures, but there should be this foundation of like morals and values and what they stand for in life. And if they don't have that, I'm not going to hate them for it. I'm not going to resent them. I'm not going to judge them. But I'm going to just keep my distance in my trust. It's like a lock and key. The people that are totally like, you just know, like they can unlock, that trust. Like, right. And I'm not like saying trust people. I don't really trust anybody, but at the same time, I know people that love what's right instead of loving me for what I did for them. They're not going to last the test of time as a person in your life.
Yeah. I wish we could just get over this stuff, because I honestly, since I grew up in an all-white place, and sometimes you hear like liberal, crazy Marxist communist professors or TV heads talk about how it's racist that white people are colorblind.
Yeah.
Because I really was raised to be that way. I guess there are Mexicans where I live, and I was in a bilingual class, and there were Mexicans who would pick on another Mexican who didn't know English, and I would get really upset and like stick up for the poor Mexican kid who just moved here, and I never thought like, oh, these kids are Mexican my whole life, until I was like 20 years old and I started hearing about how bad white people are, and I was like, oh, I'm white.
Yeah.
My parents never taught me I was white.
Well,
they never told me anything about white people.
Most white people we didn't walk around being overly into our whiteness. Even though the media has been, beating people down with anti-white propaganda for years, it's just white people are usually pretty chill about that stuff. They don't overthink it. They just want you to be good and have values and just assimilate to our society. And that's it. It's not too much to ask.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I really don't think I know there are some people online that are more radical than me, but in my whole life, I've never met anyone who would be considered by my friends to be more radical than me. And I honestly don't care about race. I just want people to stop shitting on white people. That's it.
But see, when you realize about the anger thing, right? Like, because like I've hung around black people that would make fun of other people for being light skinned, and then the light skins making fun of other people that were dark skinned. That's not racism, right? Like, that's not racism because they're black. But at the end of the day, it's all the same thing, because it's like if a white person said anything about their skin color, it's racist. But at the end of the day, it's that anger and it's the hatred. Like, if I follow somebody on Instagram like who's black, right, and they have a black audience, you see people going at it back and forth about like light skin, dark skin, whatever, and it's like if the Africans had black slaves, right, that's not racism, right? It's slavery. But if the white people had black slaves, it's racism.
Right.
So it's like people make it into something when it's really the root of it is anger and hatred and evil.
Yeah. Because they want a reason to hate you.
Yeah, I've seen that sentiment lately, and I always agree when I see it. Like, this is hate. This is not racism. This is just hate. And you can't eliminate hate. You can't outlaw it. You can't make somebody not hate.
Right. It's like a genie. He can't make you love someone.
Yeah, well, anyway, that's all I had to say, guys.
Well, thanks for calling in, Seth.
All right, bro.
Great talking to you. I'll talk to you next time.
All right,
Likewise,
peace.
brother.
Have a good night.
All right. I think that was a pretty good one. I don't know how you want to keep rolling. See if we got time for one more caller before we wrap it up. Make it a little early tonight because we started late, but Schmitty's in the chat, by the way. Schmitty.
Unknown caller.
Schmitty. Living in the city. Super chat so litty. That's my man Schmitty.
What's up, Mr. KFC?
Coleslaw's the best. No, I just have two questions. Like I said, I don't like to keep you guys I don't like to keep the lines tied up, but I just have two questions.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you in your seat because you have to get up every time the phone rings. That must be a big workout for you.
Nah, it's all good. I need to get my fat ass up and down.
Yeah. But, so the two questions I wanted to ask is, does Trevor have a manager? That's one question.
Nope.
He doesn't have a manager?
No, sir.
Wow, man. Somebody needs to get a hold of him. And tell him what he needs to do with his music and take part of his money.
Yeah, well, I think we're hitting a new age. Maybe he can, you can maybe do it without one. That way you keep everything to yourself and you don't have some other guy trying to hustle you out of your own money.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But the other question I wanted to ask is, how do you guys feel about killing animals?
For food? For, like, hunting?
Yes.
I think it's totally okay. I think God gave us the right to. We're supposed to be carnivores and eat meat, but you should do it without being wasteful.
So you both think that killing animals is okay?
Yeah,
If you're gonna eat them.
yeah, not just for fun, but you should make
But I
use
mean,
of
both of you guys feel that way?
Yeah.
Why are you a vegan? Are you one of those vegans?
Absolutely not. I mean, I think alpha males eat at KFC, but no, I love steak. Don't get me wrong, man. I love deer meat too, but I was just asking because I didn't know what your feelings were on that.
I could eat a steak right now.
Yeah, I don't have any feelings about it. I'd like to kill my own animals. Have some livestock and wrangle me some chickens.
What about plants, man? Plants have souls in life, right? Well, you gotta have to kill a plant to eat that.
Well, you remember that Nirvana song? It says it's okay to eat fish because they don't have any feelings.
Really?
Do you remember that song?
No.
It's called. I think it's called something like "Something in the Way."
I remember that song.
And yeah, and he says something like, "It's okay to eat fish because they haven't got no feelings." It's a good song, but I was just wondering how you guys feel about eating and killing live animals because I got no qualms about it whatsoever, but a lot of people do.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are weak.
And it just
Yeah,
ties into
surrounded
people.
by-
People
Go ahead.
people want to feel better about themselves, right? So it's like giving money to a homeless person because it felt good. They feel like they get their identity from, oh, I'm a good person because I don't eat animals. Save the animals. People these days you love animals more than they love people. Like animals are replacing children.
That's totally true because actually Tyson put out a rap video about that where he was talking about how you don't have any problem killing babies at the freaking abortion clinics, but when it comes to killing baby pigs or something, you're getting all up in an uproar,
Because people are so emotional. Animals and human beings are different because human beings have a consciousness and conscience where they can, experience conflict and know when they're right and wrong and stuff like that. Animals don't. Animals are all, strictly emotions where they, their surroundings and environment and instincts determine how they act and respond. And people are becoming more and more emotional and they're more like animals. So people they don't have their humanity anymore, and so they relate to animals.
And these vegans that you see out there, they're starving, man. They're hungry, they're malnutrition, malnourished, they look sick, and the longer you stay on that diet, you just look like crap. And if you look at some of these...
Yeah, they look sick, don't they? Go ahead.
Yeah, if you look at some of these documentaries, like Joaquin Communist Phoenix did a documentary a while back called Earthlings. And it was right when I was kind of coming out of my fallen state, and I dabbled in veganism, and I saw that video. But what they did was they cherry-picked the animal killings, like whether it's for pelts or mass farming, and they make you feel bad for this, kind of cold robotic procedure. And maybe, yes, in some ways they're raising animals inhumanely, like crowding them, and they got festers and sores on their body. I think that's wrong. Like, if you're gonna raise animals, keep them clean. Like, we should be eating clean meat. But they use those cherry-picked scenes to make you feel something. They want you to cry and be a woman about it and get into your feelings. That way you say, oh, you know what, I can't eat animals anymore. The poor things are suffering. But then those same vegans, like the chat's saying, those same vegans will support abortion almost 100%.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, vegans are crazy. Keep your distance away from them. They're loony. They need vitamins and fat, protein.
Okay, well that's all I had to talk to you guys about. I wanted to ask you about that, what your views on that were, and shout out to Skip and Smitty in the chat. So
Amazing.
I'll talk at y'all later. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Marty. All right, bro. Be well.
Marty McFly.
Marty. McFly! What's the matter, McFly? You yella? When you start thinking that way, that means they already won without having to swing a fist. Some people just do it for diet. No, bro. They don't do it just for diet. They do it because it's been sold to you as some kind of more virtuous way of living. It's not what you need. You're composed of fat and protein, predominantly, and then some carbs. You should be eating fat and protein, predominantly, and then some carbs. Yalla Habibi. Yalla Habibi. Nicholas Gonzalez has become an Arab in the chat. Yeah, like Sverige. There's a guy on YouTube, SV3RIGE. He eats raw meat, like straight raw milk, raw cheese, raw meat, red, bloody. And there's something to that. There's something to that. Yalla Habibi. Exactly. If it's all for diet, why do they have to tell you that they're vegan? Vegans it's like the first thing they do. They walk into a room, they go, hi, I'm Mike, I'm a vegan. It's like they have to flaunt it in your face.
That's because the biggest problem people have these days is identity. They have an identity issue. They need to feel like somebody somehow. So they need to create these labels and some sense of identity so they feel like somebody.
Exactly.
Then because that's how people pick where they belong, right? They're tribalists, so they're going to be like, I'm vegan, I'm going to hang out with other vegans.
Yeah.
I'm LGBT, so I hang out with LGBT. I'm black, so I resonate and hang out with black people more. When it's all a lie and an illusion, because the reality is that it's a spiritual battle within ourselves. And all this physical, worldly things that people try to get their identity from, that the world sells you about, is all a lie.
Silver said it. The world this is my exact theory for everything. It's why I think the earth is flat and yada, 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 is that you have to take everything you were taught and turn it upside down. That's what the devil does. He doesn't recreate it. He just distorts it and perverts it. So he takes the truth and he flips it. If you flip all the narratives, like he says here, the world is flipped. God said we could eat meat. The world says no. God says homosexuality is wrong. The world says yes. It's exactly it. Silver gets it. Yalla Habibi, Nick. The flesh is irrelevant. What's a proton inhibitor pump, accelerator, rotation, hydration particle facilitator, device program manifest? I don't know, cylinder tank, rejuve, that's a mouthful. Nick can never get the phones. Yeah, whichever way the world is marching, you should go the opposite way. If the world loves you, you're not a righteous person. You should be persecuted by the world. You should be losing friends left and right, because if you stand for the truth, the world will turn against you.
Because just like vegan or whatever, people get their identity from their friends. They validate who they are, right? Because most people just don't want to be alone. And I'm realizing for myself that the number 0 and being nothing and being nobody is better, because if you run towards that, you'd be nobody. Nobody's perfect, and I'm nobody, right? I used to, hang around people that, because you think that people have your, real love to give you. And so when they say things, you consider it, right? So you your friends who define you. And what people say about you, you might consider it, that's my friend, right? And it's someone you think is your friend, but you really, you don't know, you don't need to get, it's not good to take identity or anything like that from your environment, whether it's people or anything, so you know yourself and you sit in that nothingness and that zero. Because once you're zero, it's like you're infinite. Once you start counting, you're one. You're lonely. You don't have enough. You're first. You're last or whatever. Like the number zero, man.
It's also like his analogy about that stopwatch is if you are at zero, if you stay at zero, you are staying in the present because there's never a chance for the second hand to get to 1.
Present
or 2.
is always zero.
Yeah, if that clock gets to 1 or 2 seconds, you're now marked in time. You're living in the past. You're living at 1 second that just passed, 2 seconds. Stay at zero, you will always be present. God made the world and the universe in the stillness and the emptiness. So be zero. Be a nobody. Be a big nobody. Well, I think that's it for the night. That was a pretty good stream.
Thank you for
Thank you. Catherine needs a little song. She just dropped like 3 super chats.
Oh, nice, Catherine.
Just for her.
Thank you, Catherine, for the super chats. Thank you, Catherine, for super chats. Thank you, Catherine, for the super chats. Thank you, Catherine, for the fabulous super chats. Don't be a lady who grows up with children as cats. Thank you, Catherine, for the marvelous super chats. Super chat, yeah.
Any closing words for the night?
Be nothing, be zero, be a nobody, and life's better that way. Run towards the pain.
Yeah. Don't follow the world. Your circle should be very small. And if it's not, and you have way too many friends, you're probably living in the world still.
I mean, think about it. Would you rather have a pocket full of 100 pennies, or would you rather have a pocket full of 4 quarters? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Quality over quantity.
exactly. So, work on it. Don't be a vegan. That's for pussycats. All right, Trevor's gonna take you out. Don't be a pussycat.
Pros and cons. The world blames dad when it's really your mom.
Good night, guys.